win of Donald Trump beginning to take shape, and we're thinking about all the promises that he once again made in order to not only reduce migration into the United States, but he promised thousands and thousands of deportations. And of course, there's a lot of Hispanic community that is fearing like what could happen afterwards. So we talked about migration throughout this this program, but we haven't gotten into how could this translate to the real world the day before the election, or not just after the election, but the day after the new administration, a possible new administration begins. How can these promises that we know are sometimes upscaled in order to be effective and draw in votes and feed on the fear and the economy and the economic threats of the people, how could this threaten to the Hispanic population and the population in general be translated? Could we be facing, for example, big amounts of deportations?
Yeah, the first thing that comes up for me is that in the 8 years of Obama, yes, we can, si se puede, with all of his, quote unquote, unifying rhetoric. Obama actually deported many more immigrants than were deported in the Bush years or any other years. So it's important to, that's not to say that Trump is, that his threats are idle. I think there is a reason to believe that he represents a significant threat to Latinos, to immigrants, to Muslims, with all of his hateful rhetoric and actions. Why invest in building a border wall of apartheid, of hatred, of xenophobia, when you could invest that money in jobs and education in the oppressed countries so people aren't forced to leave their homeland? These are not voluntary immigrants. These are people who are, their destiny has been usurped from them. And we were talking about this right-wing trend earlier. We mentioned Bolsonaro and Milei. We shouldn't forget Luis Abinader, the neoliberal lackey president of the Dominican Republic, who has built this Trumpian wall along the Dominican-Haitian border, and who has been not just talking about deporting tens of thousands of Haitians, but actually doing it without contextualizing the U.S.'s war on Haiti. Every day, more U.S. guns are leaked into Haiti. Every day, the threat of more U.S. intervention into Haiti. What they've done now is they have paid $333 million to Kenyan mercenaries. There's 400 Kenyan police officers and other Caribbean soldiers that are occupying Haiti right now. This represents the fourth U.S. invasion and occupation of Haiti in just the past 100 years. We don't know exactly Trump and his bark versus his bite. I remember in that 2016 to 2020 period in the Bronx, New York, it was not uncommon for there to be WhatsApp groups where immigrant rights advocates and family members alerted one another. ICE is here, ICE is at this subway station, and ICE is deporting people from this housing project, and they're invading here. Remember the sanctuary cities and people looking out for one another. And that's one thing about a Trump victory. It activates millions of people across the United States who would otherwise be adormecidos, would be fast asleep. I'll give one example to demonstrate my point. In the Bush years, when we protested the war on Iraq and the war on Afghanistan, we could get hundreds of thousands of people to surround the White House and the Pentagon and Times Square, and in Los Angeles and San Francisco. How many millions of people came into the streets in those Bush years? 2008, Barack Obama is the president. It's the same war in Iraq. It's the same occupation of Afghanistan. Overnight, our demonstrations go from hundreds of thousands to hundreds or 1,000 here, 1,000 there. Of course, in 2011, you have the dismemberment, the bombing, the recolonization of Libya. There were times where we had demonstrations in defense of Libya. There were only 12 of us, or 14 of us, or 16 of us marching in the streets. So the liberals, and Arnold August made this point earlier, the Democratic Party is the graveyard of social movements because it signals to the liberals that somehow things are okay because there's not a fascist in the White House, but Joe Biden and Kamala Harris weren't proto-fascists on some level. Ask the Palestinian people, ask the Russian people, ask the Chinese people, the Venezuelan people, and ask people right at home, how have they benefited from Biden and Kamala Harris's last 4 years? So the social movements across the country are going to have to be awake in communication, but certainly in certain states like Texas or in Arizona, it very well could mean that immigrant families suffer a great deal. We can't forget the separation of parents and children on the border during the Trump years, but this also happened in the Biden years, so we can't be selective and segregate our tears.
No, and let's recall that the Biden administration were the ones that planned a joint invasion or joint takeover of Haiti just a few months ago, and alongside Kenya and alongside other forces. They were trying to go into force, into full gear inside Haiti, and not to address the root causes of inequalities, the root causes of what is happening right now there in this humanitarian crisis that is going on, and that it dates back to other U.S. administrations with other installments and other invasions of the Haitian territory and Haitian people.